So we're going to try some ice bases today. This is what we're starting off with. Um, these are 20 bases. I've done two. I painted them blue. It's called Barroth Blue. Probably mispronounced that terribly. It's from Games Workshop Citadel paint. So I painted them that, and then I've used this Crackle stuff on two of them, and then I'm going to show you doing the rest here and learn from this because I make some mistakes and don't do the same. Enjoy.
Okay, so I'm going to try using this today again. After a lot of testing, I've found how I want to do it, so I'm going to try and document that. So this is golden crackle paste, white opaque medium that cracks as it dries. And this is a test. So these are the two tests that I was most happy with. This one I dropped, which is why it's got that big splodge in the middle. This one turned out a bit better. So what I found was mixing it with water, so it's a bit more fluid and levels itself a bit better, helps quite a lot because it's really thick, it's like Christmas icing, like this, and when you put it on something it just stays bumpy, and if it stays bumpy then it doesn't crack. And I think what it's for is for artists, so you can take it, spread it over a painting or something you're going to paint using like a spatula or something, and because you're doing it over such a big area, where you squidge it in the middle, it's going to end up flat. But when you're doing it on a base, you can't really go use a big spatula to flatten that down. So adding water to it, I found helps. So I've got some water in here. No, I only did this before on a small scale, so I don't know. I'm just going to have to see how much of this we need and just sort of guess. But I don't want it to be like paint or anything. I still want it to be quite thick. Let's get quite a lot in actually. I think I've got about 20 of these to do in total. A bit thicker. Right, I think that'll do. It's quite wet. It's still quite thick, but it's wet. So I can, with it being wet, I can make the surface of it flat without it leaving all the sort of Christmas icing peaks. Right. Let's see what we've got then. I want it to be quite thin as well, so it's quite difficult to get thin because it's so thick. So having it thinned a bit with water does help with that. If it's thick, it didn't dry. It didn't dry as cracked as you'd perhaps like it. It dried as thick white snow, almost, not as thin cracked snow or thin cracked ice. So some of these are a bit thick. Let's just try and smooth some of those out. Remove a lot of that. But like everywhere I touch it, you end up with a little dimple, and so it's quite hard to tease those dimples out. actually started this as a quicker way than my last method. My last method was a Greenland blue, a Greenland earth, which is brown, and then it cracks, and then paint the Greenland earth white, which takes a long time because you're trying to paint the Greenland earth white while not trying to paint the blue white underneath. So that's one. Let's do another one and then I'll skip the rest. And then we'll come back at the end. Let's just get another one done. Okay. So that's all of those done. Didn't have to add any more of this, so this is going to last me a lifetime, which is fine. I dropped one here, which was annoying. Then we'll come back to them when they're dry. Bye bye.
Okay, so this is me putting them in the oven, and this didn't go very well. Don't do this. You'll see that they start to crack a bit, and then because I kept increasing the temperature because I was being impatient, don't do this. Don't ever do this. I was increasing the temperature and they were dry and they were getting a bit better. You'll see them like crack, and then towards the end, the white stuff, texture, crackle stuff, just started to expand. It got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I took them out and you'll see.
Okay. We have a disaster. I did my tests and they were fine. And then in haste, I tried to put them in the oven, and it hasn't dried the same. But then I suppose, why would it? Because letting these dry at room temperature is not the same as putting them in an oven. The other thing is, in my haste to get them dry, some of them have bent, but we can live with that because I have 25mm bases to replace them. Although some of them are fine, and then others are not fine. This one is not fine. So I'm going to remove this now, and then put it back on, and then just leave it to dry naturally with no oven. And now they are done. So I let them dry for 24 hours, just at room temperature, no oven shenanigans, and they've turned out pretty well. Quite varied. I think this one I might have touched, but quite a varied effect. This one was the one I dropped. That's quite a nice one. I'll add some grass to them and models, and that will help with, this looks a bit odd, so that'll cover up that a bit. And that's that. Hope that was helpful.